Was crack-a-lackin' snitches. Welcome to Algorithm versus the Experts, where we make y'all fat stacks of cash. And if we're not making y'all fat stacks of cash, that's on you. That's not on us. Because I'm giving you the information. What you gonna do with it? What you gonna do, mother trucker? I'm Josh Moody. That's John Batanti. And we're making picks today. So last week was a dope ass card, the Adesanya card. I just like to point out that I told that if I had not accidentally ended the podcast early, I would have told all of you that Pereira was going to win this fight. I wrote it down. I did. I wrote it down. What was the other one that I missed? I also was going to tell you that Carla Esparza was going to win that fight. So, I don't actually know. So, I was going to tell you both of these things. Very convincingly. But this week's card's weird. It's actually not weird. It's actually very normal now. But 3 years ago, this card would have been weird. Like, what are they doing? This is a pretty normal Apex card, though. It's a bunch of
this is a pretty bad card. I mean, we've had some really good. Well, what was the one before that? 2 weeks ago, that one was really bad too. That one was worse. The one 2 weeks ago. This one's a little bit better because we get to see. I'm sorry. 2 weeks ago was a good one. That was Rodriguez Lemos. 3 weeks ago was a really poor one. But they follow up the big ones with smaller ones. But hey, we have fist fights Saturday, so it's okay.
All right, Johnny, what's our first fight of the night?
We got Natalia Silva versus Teresa Bleda. Bleda. I don't know what her nickname is, but the Blade.
Her nickname is Ronda.
Ronda, like Ronda Rousey, Ronda.
Maybe. I don't know if that's the Ronda that's referring to.
Teresa Bleda. If you've probably never seen her, except you may have seen her in Contender Series. She was on the Contender Series this past year. She had one fight. She was a huge favorite, and she did not disappoint. She won the fight unanimously. She was unable to get the finish, but she showed her power, her wrestling ability, takedowns, and she was able to keep herself out of danger and win that fight pretty easily. And now she's going to step up and has a UFC fight. What is this? 11. Sorry. Okay, there it is. She's going to step up and get a first fight. First UFC fight, and she's going to fight Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva, this is going to be her second UFC appearance. She took about 3 years off to pursue other things, and she never stopped training. And then she came back as a big underdog against Jasmine Judavicius, and she looked amazing. Looked like a world-class striker. Footwork, danced around her, beat her up, hit off some fancy spinning attacks too. Fought off every takedown. No one really saw that coming. It's pretty rare where the underdog, plus 200 or more underdog, just completely dominates and wins all 3 rounds. Victor Henry did it to Ione Barcelos, and this girl did it to Jasmine. I can't think of it. Doesn't happen that often throughout the year, but yeah, she looked amazing. So I guess one thing to know, even though she's young, they're both young. Blade is really young. She's barely 21.
I think she's 20.
She's barely 21. She's 20 years, 11 months, and it says it on the thing. So she's young. So she's almost 21.
Almost 21. Yeah.
Silva's young too, but she's only had one fight in 3 years. So they're both pretty new. Silva's had more fights. Blade is only 6-0, and she's fighting in Czech Republic leagues, while Silva's fought in some better leagues in Brazil, better promotions in Brazil. Thing to see here is Bleda has the height and reach advantage. Bleda's going to have a 5-inch height, and she's going to have 6 inches of reach. The problem is she's not a good striker. If you saw her Contender Series fight, you probably picked up on that. Like, her striking needs work. If Silva mirrors the striking she showed her last fight, and then she's going to be really have a big advantage striking. Bleda needs to get this fight down. Now, the Natalia Silva that we saw before the last fight, Bleda would smash her, and you wouldn't think otherwise because Silva struggles with staying off her back. She also couldn't get up when she was on her back. But last fight, Jasmine couldn't get her down, and Jasmine's a pretty good grappler. The roles kind of flipped here. When Silva fought Jasmine, she was facing the big height and reach disparities, and now it's the other way around. So interesting to see how this plays out. It's a pretty close line. I'm gonna go with Bleda. I think Bleda gets this fight down a couple times. I think her wrestling is going to prove superior. I think her chain wrestling and her strength is something that Jasmine didn't have. And I think you're going to see a different version of Silva. I don't think she's going to be able to just dance around and light her up like she did to Jasmine. I think Bleda might get her down and do some work. And I think that's going to deter what Silva does.
You don't think Jasmine was strong as fuck? That girl is hella jacked. She's the definition.
No, I don't think she's strong like Bleda. I think Bleda is a different level of strong.
Maybe. I wasn't able to watch her Contender Series fight, so I'm not 100% like her more modern skills. I'm impressed that this girl's got this far this young. Like, her first amateur fight, she was 15. But like you said, she's fighting in Eastern European leagues. And she isn't... Well, actually, as a pro, she fought all... Damn. As a professional, she fought outside of her depth for all of her fights. All of her fights have been people who are more experienced than her. All of these people had winning records. Only one of them wasn't like a definitively winning record. And she finished people in round 1. Like, almost all of her victories are finishes, except for the one. Seems like she did probably a tournament. I don't know, some weird exhibition MMA. But she's got to win over a girl that went to the UFC later too. Like, she's already got wins over UFC level girls. Fuck, I don't know. I'm gonna pick Silva.
Yeah,
but I'm very excited to see what this new Czech girl could do.
I don't. Yeah, like girls that are really one-dimensional, or just fighters in general that are one-dimensional, or they're stepping up against. They're stepping up, making their UFC debuts. Like Natalia Silva doesn't really check all the boxes for me. That makes me think like she's gonna slam dunk and Bleda won't have an answer. Like, Silva's not UFC seasoned either. She's only had one fight. And she just had a really good day. I mean, she had an answer for everything Jasmine was trying to do, and it's hard to repeat that a second time. And I think Bleda has some. I think she has some tools that she can use to really turn the tide in this fight. But I'll take the underdog there with value, because if that Silva never fought until then, Bleda would be a favorite here, just based on her wrestling and Silva's porous performance against the wrestlers in the past. But he looked very different last time. All right. Bernie Garcia versus Brady Houston. Who you got?
I really like what I saw from Brady Houston. Even though he lost a split decision against Ricky Turcio in the finale of The Ultimate Fighter, I remember thinking he won that fight. I do remember it being like a very pendulous fight. Lots of ebbs and flows. Big momentum swings would be an easier way to say that. And he's really young. So taking over a year off at that age, like, did you hear anything about him being injured or anything like that?
No, I did not.
I'm just assuming that he's going to have a lot of development in that amount of time. He's only 23 now. Now, on the other end, Fernie Garcia didn't look great against Journey Newsom.
No.
Pretty sure we both picked him to win against Journey Newsom, and he did not. And then his win to get into the UFC was over Josh Weems, who we just saw as kind of mayhem. So I'm going to pick Brady Heisted, but he's very much an unknown commodity at this point.
Yeah.
What you got?
I'm also going to go with Houston. I like Houston's wrestling. I think his ability to string together takedowns and keep the pressure going is going to overwhelm Garcia. I don't know how his cardio is going to hold up, but I think he can have enough to win 2 rounds and maybe survive. So I go with Houston to win the fight. I'm not betting it, but I would go with Houston as well. Next fight, we got Maria Oliveira and Vanessa Demopoulos. All right, this is my first bet of the night, and I'm going to regret it. So I wagered on Maria Oliveira because I hate money. A pick'em's plus 100. Yeah, you got to be crazy to bet money on Maria Oliveira, but I did catch her last time as an underdog against Gloria DePaula, who I thought was a terrible fighter, like all around, just no fight IQ, and she's not fighting in the UFC as of now. Vanessa Demopoulos is pretty bad too. Her striking, I mean, she's not afraid to throw with you, but her striking accuracy is pretty poor. She doesn't have power. She shines on the mat with submissions. The problem I have with that is the fights she's finished by submission, she was knocked down or taken down and getting beat up and had to pull that rabbit out of the hat, and she was able to do that against really low level opponents. Is Maria Oliveira a low level opponent? Oh yeah. But something I can't overlook is she's got almost an 8-inch reach advantage, and she also throws with volume and has a pretty good striking overall arsenal. Demopoulos will do the same, which I don't see how she's going to win those exchanges, because Oliveira actually throws the more variety. She does throw a lot of kicks. It's not one-dimensional, and she doesn't get tired, and she'll throw punches and bunches. So Demopoulos is going to have to take her down. Her wrestling and takedown is very poor. Like I said, her wins were from her back. Oliveira, can she get submitted from a top position? Oh yeah, she can make a mistake and do that. But she survived against Tabitha Ricci, who eventually was able to get her down. And you know what? Her jiu-jitsu held up against her. So I don't see that being a scary point for me. And if you have a 6-inch reach advantage or better in general, is going to win about 66% of the time. You may have, I've known that stat. You may start seeing that, like if you watch the pay-per-views, DraftKings post ththose stats, winning angles. So Maria Oliveira has almost an 8-inch reach advantage. She isn't going to be, Demopoulos can't take anyone down, and Demopoulos likes to strike with no accuracy. So all that to me adds up is Maria Oliveira can really easily win this fight 30-27. So I gambled. What do you got?
Yeah, when you started talking, I was like, well, why did you bet on her then? I'm looking at the stats, and I am also so confused by this girl having wins in the UFC. Like, I saw her submission average, and I was like, 1.3. That's pretty high. Okay, all
That's
right.
good. Yeah.
Takedown accuracy 7%. Like, yo,
Yeah. I mean,
words
I do. And
out.
her win over Jinyu Fry, which also doesn't age well. She did not win that fight. Yeah, that was a very questionable split decision. I for sure thought Jinyu Fry won that fight. But credit Vanessa Demopoulos for coming out in the third round and trying to, trying to get the finish. Like her coaches told her, you need to finish, and she came out and she definitely won the third round. Jinyu Frey took that third round off, wasn't the same fighter as the first, and you know what? She ended up winning, stealing the fight somehow. But yeah, she didn't win that fight.
They both have very low striking defense. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about like they get hit frequently.
No.
Like, they both have in the low 40s, mid 40s for striking defense. Like this, I got Maria Oliveira. This is your sloppy fight of the night.
It's a terrible fight. I'm not going to watch it, but I'll probably watch it. It's on at 1:00 in the afternoon. I'm going to watch it, but yeah, it's going to be. I think Oliveira is going to pull this out, and she's currently she's my best bet of this card. Oh, that's frightening. All right, Ricky Tercios, Kevin Natividad. Yeah, it's frightening, but if you're going to bet, you can't be afraid to find value. Like I think Maria Oliveira, she can easily look like she's minus 500 in this fight. She could coast to a win. Ricky Tercios versus Kevin Natividad. I don't know much about either of these guys. I'm just picking Tercios, but you can probably elaborate better. Sorry, I don't have anything, guys.
I don't know anything about Natividad. I did not see. Actually, oh yeah, no, he hasn't fought in a year and a half. No wonder I don't know who this dude is. He said 2 fights in the UFC, and he got finished in both of them. Miles Johns is a pretty good fighter who's also fighting this week, but Dana Bakdarel hasn't really impressed me. I don't know, man. I don't like what I've seen with regards to Kevin Natividad. And I did watch the Ricky Tercio Brady fight. And Tercio looked pretty good. I think I saw a Zahabi fight too.
Yeah, that wasn't very Zahabi won that fight. He stayed away, tried to pick from distance, and Tercios he doesn't have a really good way of closing the distance by striking.
Yeah, I'm picking Tercio. Based on his positive striking differential and the fact that Natividad has a negative one and gets knocked out. But I don't see. I think probably a decision. Does Ricky finish people? Oh, Ricky's got a couple finishes, but no, Ricky's a decision machine mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I expect this to be a long decision. But I would expect Ricky Tercio to win.
Mm-hmm. All right, next fight we got Miles Johns versus Vince Morales. So Miles Johns says that when he's on his game, he can really intermingle some good wrestling and power punching. And sometimes he just doesn't feel like wrestling, and he gets his ass kicked. Vince Morales has power. He's got power. I feel like the approach is going to be a little too one-dimensional. I think Miles Johns gets his wrestling going. And Vince Morales doesn't do too well. I don't think he's going to do too well against that wrestling attack. So I think Johns grinds out a decision.
Vince Morales. Oh man, I don't know how much I like the guys that come out of Syndicate. Like it's a good gym, but I'm starting to think there's too many people there. As I say that, and I'm looking into it, I'm like, oh, I like that fighter. I like that fighter. I like that fighter. But just
I don't.
there's so many that it's hard to know which ones are actually getting good work.
Yeah, I don't. I don't really like Vince Morales. He didn't look good against Martinez.
He didn't.
He didn't look good in that fight at all. His wins too against Draco and Smolka. I mean, he did beat Zahabi and he's been around the thing, but I don't
Fortis
know.
MMA is going to be a pretty big team too, but they're a pretty tight knit team. So I don't think that there's going to be as many like stragglers. It just kind of, I don't know. I got to go with Miles Johns as well. I think he's probably going to come in more fine-tuned for this fight. Like more strategically prepared for this fight than Vince Morales will. I think that's what's going to be the difference.
I can dig it. All right, next one we got Jen Maya and Marina Munoz. Yeah, geez. So Jen Maya's like last two fights. Who I think she was Marina Munoz is minus 180 favorite. I think that's ridiculous. Marina Munoz should not be a minus 180 favorite over anyone. Anyone that's a veteran, I don't see why she's such a big favorite. But that being said, hang on, Jen Maya's last two fights. Why won't you load? I feel like her last two fights we talked about were also very winnable. She had the ability on paper to win those fights, and she didn't perform that at all. That was against
Manon Fiorot and Caitlin Chukagian.
Manon, she wasn't going to be. I'm sorry, I said I'm thinking wrong. Yeah, Chukagian.
Wasn't going to be Chukagian. Jessica is not great, so she beat her.
She's had ways to win fights. Yeah, like she was never going to beat Valentina.
It was shocking how well she did against Valentina.
She did really good against Valentina. I mean, she did okay. I mean, she lost to Fiora, but she at least tried some things and had some moments. Yeah, against Chukagian, like she ended up losing the striking thing. I kind of don't know what. Yeah, like it's hard to just back her just because wouldn't she? She hasn't looked good since that armbar of JoJo Wood, and she was the underdog for that fight, but JoJo Wood really's fallen off. So I don't. It's hard to me to see. Like I think Moro's at least she'll throw. She's not afraid to strike, and she does have pretty good wrestling ability too. She's a good fighter. She hasn't been that active, but she's only had 3 fights and she's almost the past 4 years. But she's beating some talented. She's beating some talented girls. She submitted Agapova, and Agapova's she's a fighter in the UFC. She was a hot shot coming up. She's got some talent. She can strike. Myra Bueno Silva she beat too, who's been around and she's a big favorite in some of her fights. Sabina Mazo too, that she's not thing. Yeah, she's fought really good competition. Just like Jennifer Maia. I'm gonna go with Moros. but tough.
Didn't you just say she shouldn't be the favorite against anyone?
No, she shouldn't be. She shouldn't be almost minus 200 against anyone.
Oh, okay.
But I don't see. I don't see what Jen Mai. I don't see Jen Mai executing this some kind of crazy perfect game plan and winning this fight.
Well,
But
I agree with you completely. 112% that Marina Moros has got this and that Jennifer Maya has not looked good. Almost like fluky how well she did against Valentina. She lost Caitlin twice. Oh, she only got one win, and then
well, yeah. There was nobody else for her to fight, and she's like, or for Valentina. Nobody wanted to fight Valentina at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. I don't expect Jennifer Maya to make it back at the top. I think Marina Moros should win this pretty handedly. Likely a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Or an armbar, but it's been a while since she's done that.
Yeah.
All right. Next fight of the night. Zalgas Zumagulov. I love that name.
Yeah.
Charles Johnson.
Yeah. Charles Johnson, we saw he fought Muhammad Mokaev. Yeah, and he was a gigantic underdog in that fight. And you know what? He held his own. He got back to his feet. He got out wrestled, but he definitely didn't embarrass himself in there. He showed really good patience. He didn't get nervous, didn't get submitted. Fought his way back to his feet. It wasn't a bad showing against a really big prospect. Zalgas, I think he's like 1-4 in the UFC or 1-5 in the UFC. Does that tell the whole story? No. I mean, the last fight against Jeff Molina, I thought he could have won that fight too. I thought that was a questionable decision. And he ended up losing the split decision. Against Manel Kopp, he got caught. He wasn't fighting a bad round one. He just got caught and knocked out. He beat a really low-level guy in Jerome Rivera with a standing guillotine choke. And yeah, he's 1-4 in the UFC against all guys. He does good. Where does he do good work? His clinch game looks like he's got good takedowns. He's got submissions out of the clinch game. He's got a strong clinch. He can land knees. He can land out. He can come off with elbows. Charles Johnson, he didn't look like the clinch game doesn't look like it's that strong to me against Mokaev. I think Mokaev was able to mow through that and get positions for takedowns. Always had the top position in the clinch. If he wants to land knees, elbows, level change. It didn't seem like Charles Johnson didn't offer too much resistance. So I think Zalgas, who I've seen in clinch, has an edge there. The question is, can he bully the bigger man? Johnson's going to be 6 inches taller and have about a 4 or 5 inch reach advantage. Is he going to be able to close the distance and bully Johnson along the cage and be able to perform something for, over 2 rounds? Can't really say he's going to finish Charles Johnson if Mokaev couldn't. But is that possible? Sure. I mean, haven't really seen Charles Johnson going into a favorite as a fighter, being the guy in control. So I don't know. It's his LFA fights where. Yeah, I mean, he won by finishes. He won finishes though. Second round, 5 round. I don't know. I didn't see a lot of those fights. So I don't know how he controlled things or what up until the end. But I feel I'm gonna go with Zalgas for the upset.
I'm expecting Charles Johnson to do well.
All right.
Don't know a ton about him because he's only had the one UFC fight. But it looks like Zalgas was just on a little hot streak. And that is what got him into the UFC. And since he's been here, he's kind of faded. He beat 3 UFC veterans in a row, I believe in a respectable organization. And that was enough to get attention. Yeah, Fight Night's Global is a pretty big one. But once he got here, he hasn't done anything to capture my attention beyond having a very, very cool name. Next fight. Best fight of the night, 100%. Jack Della Maddalena versus Danny Roberts. Hot chocolate.
Yeah, hot chocolate, baby. So Jack Della, I think if you've been following, I mean, starting to expect big things out of Jack Della fights. He's looked really good. What is this? I clicked the wrong button. Sorry. Danny Roberts' last fight, he went into it as huge underdog. I think he fought in the Britain card against Ilya. Oh no, not the same. That's the guy that beat Amiv. Yeah, big underdog against Amiv. And Roberts' bill was like he can't handle the wrestling. He's very bad against wrestlers. I mean, I thought he did a good job. But I think he won the fight with the split decision. Maybe he could have went either way. But he did all right. He survived, and he was able to do some good striking in that fight. His last fight against Ronaldo, he got beat up. Ronaldo, what's Ronaldo's nickname?
Massaranduba.
The oak. What's it mean? The oak in Brazil, or something like
that? It's a Brazilian redwood tree.
A Brazilian redwood. Massaranduba. Yeah, I mean, he took some bombs, but Ronaldo beat him up, man. That wasn't the best look. He got knocked out by. He's been finished in his other fights. Lost to Mike Perry, Bobby Nash. Yeah, so I mean, he's really stepping up in this one. He likes to strike, and we're going to get a striker versus striker, which I think is why Josh is saying this is going to be a banger of a fight. Jack Della, he knocked out Pete Rodriguez. Was a good. He did what he had to do. He came in there and knocked him out. And Ramazan Amiv, I mean, I don't know what was up with him in that fight against Thing. He looked like he didn't want to be there. And I think I mentioned it looked like he had sunburn, like really bad sunburn on some cases. Like, I don't know what the hell. He just looked like a different guy. And Jack Della knocked him out with a liver shot. Now this is going to be a striker's match. So, I mean, if Danny Roberts, it wouldn't shock me to see him out there doing something, looking good, fighting well. The question is when he's going to get cracked. And Jack Della is he going to be able to survive Jack Della? I don't, so I'm going to go with Jack Della. Jack Della is about a -450 favorite. And for good reason.
Favorite
-450. But it's tough. It's tough because he's going against style versus styles. Like these are strikers. Strikers can put you out, but I mean, Danny Roberts hasn't really been showing that kind of knockout power, and Massan Daruba beat him up last time. He won't be able to survive that against Jack Della if he gets hit with those kinds of shots.
Yeah, Massaranduba is a crafty veteran, but he's not like he's not a slick dude. Like he has 100 ways to land his one punch, but it's always his one punch. And Maddalena does a really, really good job of switching between stances, and his game doesn't really change when he does so. He can pressure out of both stances, and he changes his targets very well. He does a lot of stuff that is more common in boxing and less common in MMA, but he's putting it into an MMA context, and it works it works out really, really well. He's a very, very interesting fighter to follow. Super excited for this fight. Danny Roberts, he's actually been in the UFC for a while now. 2015. Yeah, he hasn't. Like, I don't know who any of the people he's beaten are. Nathan Coy, never heard of him. Dominique Steele, that dude came in for like he was a flash in the pan. Lost to Mike Perry. I only know the name of 2 of the people that he beat. 3 of the people that he beat, and they're not still in the UFC. So I don't know, man. I don't expect him to. Oh, I guess he beat Ramazan Ameev as well.
Yeah.
Jack Taylor should have this.
He should. I mean, even if he struggles, he should have plenty of opportunities to land a big blow and turn the fight his way or not finish the fight.
All
right, what do we got next?
Sure, we have Muslim Salikov versus Andre Fialho.
Muslim Salikov, Andre Fialho. Yeah. Fialho, he had some show. He had some. He passed the eye test a couple times. He was, loves to fight. Got some big knockout wins. He then got KO'd by Jake Matthews, and Jake Matthews was really on his game that night. And he just really, it looked like Fialho was a little not the same guy we saw previously, but he wasn't told. He just got caught, and Jake Matthews was really striking, was incredible that night. Is it time to do we question Fialho's chin? No, I wouldn't question his chin yet. He doesn't have that many losses. He doesn't have that many losses, nor has he been finished that much in his losses. He's going to go into this fight with a 5-inch reach edge, which for a guy that hits hard like him is pretty big. I don't know if he's going to lead the dance here against Salikov. Salikov is a pretty patient and boring fighter. His fight last time against the Leech, the round 1 was really boring. He was able to get a takedown, control, win the round. The second round, Leech caught him a couple times. He eventually hurt him bad and was able to finish the fight after losing round 1. So I think Salikov's thing in general is. In general, he's got good defense. He just got caught. The Leech is a good fighter. There's no shame in that. It's not, he didn't get caught by a bum. The Leech has really good striking. He just got caught. I don't know if Fialho has that kind of speed or craftiness. He's more of just a power counterpuncher. With both guys not leading the dance, and I don't know where Fialho gets that opportunity. Nor does he have to catch in on it. And I think if he does try to rush, I mean, Salikov's going to be able to. He's going to get this fight down. He's going to want to get this fight down as a path, and I think he does. And I think he wins the fight. I'm going to go with Salikov.
Yeah, this fight's not going to be great. Or
it's a banger.
Or the man whose name I just forgot, Andre Fialho, is going to smash Muslim Salikov right away. If he's worried by the feint of Salikov, then he will have problems. But if he recognizes that Salikov will never actually throw a jab at him, he can walk right through that feinted jab. He will be just fine, and he will finish Salikov. Although, did you mention if Salikov gets finished? I know he's only got the 3 losses. Oh, yeah, he got knocked out, rear naked choked, 2 rear naked chokes. Yeah. As much as Salikov has done a lot of impressive things, having been in combat sports for this long, he's gotten like he's very good at the strategy element. I
Mm-hmm.
think Yellow has this one. I think he's gonna flatline him.
All right. We'll see.
Chase Sherman versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Uh, Chase Sherman was supposed to fight like last week or something. Yeah, he played
Yeah,
Josh Parisian last week, 2 weeks ago,
yeah.
and Parisian had
He's a
some sort of issue.
yeah. He got canceled. Now Waldo Cortez Acosta stepping in on short notice, taking this fight, heavyweight banger. Yeah, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Salsa Boy. So he's going to make his second UFC fight. We just saw him 2 weeks ago, Jared Vandera to a unanimous decision. Yeah, he's going to come in. He's going to fight Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman, who I think we last saw knocked out Vandera, right? Yeah, the round 3. That was a back and forth fight. Yeah, Chase Sherman just, his thing is he can throw combos. He can strike. He can strike. He just has no striking defense at all. Just doesn't have it. He was able to survive a battle with Vandera. Both guys were landing some strikes, and he was able to turn the tide and get the third round finish. Um, it's just so like God, he lost to Jay Collier in round 1. That's such a bad look. Uh, like lost Parker Porter unanimous. Arlovsky beat him. I just don't. There's just no. I know Chase Sherman is built as a power puncher, but there's just no evidence of me to believe that he has this knockout power of finishing guys, the UFC guys in the first round. I mean, he hasn't done it really. He didn't even, like it takes him a while to get somebody out of there, or he usually gets finished. Waldo, of course, at the cost, though, we don't know much about him yet, but what we've seen is he prefers striking. This is going to be a striking battle, and he's going to throw more volume. He's going to be more accurate. He's got a bigger array of punches. Yeah, so I'll go with Cortez Acosta to get the win.
Yeah, I don't actually think that Chase Sherman has bad. By the numbers, he doesn't have bad striking defense, but he puts himself in the fire too often. So he gets hit a ton, but it's just because he is constantly grabbing the stove. Constantly. Like the dude doesn't learn. He just goes right back and grabs the stove again. But
I like that.
considering
I like that analogy.
like he doesn't get knocked out, which means that the stove's not hot. Two finishes. Uh, he was finished twice by strikes. But like that was 5 years ago. How many times has dude been punched in the face since then? A billion. A billion times is the answer. Exactly 1 billion. Not more, not less. And he doesn't get knocked out. So he just keeps putting his face there and blocking punches with his face.
But,
With the idea that he's going to knock you out. Problem is, he also hasn't done that.
nope.
But Waldo Acosta looked real, and I was interested to see what he was going to bring to the table. A big athletic dude from one of those he came here for athletics, like he was a baseball player, and then converted over, right? Like I assumed he'd be a super athlete to have made it that far, and then he just like they said he got into a fight and he got kicked out. Like, oh, perfect, okay, awesome. And on his photo, he looks like he's in really good shape. And then I saw him, and he just looked like any other heavyweight. He got a good jab, but like other than that, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because it was his first UFC fight. I hope he stunts on Chase Sherman and we
Mm-hmm.
learn more about him and I can be excited again. But I felt let down by the star level of his prospect last time. Even though, like, no big deal, win or lose that fight. But yeah, I think I'm gonna pick Waldo Acosta, but I think it's probably not going to be like he's not going to walk through this. Like it's not going to be close, or it's going to be super close, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, just definitely might be might not be that high level of a fight.
But
But
he's going to develop a lot from this, and hopefully we can learn a lot about him from this.
mhm, good point.
Oh my god, Chase Sherman's never gone for a takedown in the UFC.
Nope.
The dude's got a lot of UFC fights.
Yep. There's just not that much. There's not that much to like. He just doesn't do that much to like and stuff. Like he's gonna stand there and bang and try to knock you out, but it's not a lot of technical like things that be like, wow, he does this really well. He does throw punches. He throws good combos. He'll throw combos and keep coming. Like you said, he'll keep touching the stove. All right, what do we got next? Co-main, Ion Kutabala, Kennedy and Chekwu, the African Savage. And Chekwu just has this is such a crazy fight. Like these guys both have like a ton of red flags. Like and Chekwu is notoriously slow starter. Doesn't pick things up. When he does, he kind of goes in levels. Like he'll start striking a little bit one round, and then he'll open it up. So he just he's all over the place with when he decides to actually compete in the fight. Ion Kutalaba, it looks like he's just got that. He's just a first round renegade. His wrestling is really good. He's explosive, and he's good with that for about a round. The problem is he's always putting himself in a bad spot, and after he gets done in the first round, he can gas really bad. As you see, his last two losses were submissions. He got submitted by Johnny Walker, and Ryan Spann hit him with a really good guillotine. Kennedy and Chekwu has an 8-inch reach advantage, and like we mentioned earlier, 6+ inches of reach is just a profitable thing in general. Kennedy and Chekwu is he's pretty tough to take down. He's proven that. He survived. I think Danilo Marquez fight was, like he had his back taken pretty much the whole first round. He did not try to escape or anything. He just stood there and just outstrengthened him for a whole. Wouldn't let him submit him for a round. Before that, he knocked out Carlos Ulberg, who put together some wins now. He looked terrible against Dalian Young. It looked like he just got called. Dalian Young's really good though. I know he got knocked out last time against the Hanyak, but he looked good in that fight until he got finished. So I don't think that's a terrible loss. He looked pretty bad against Negamirianu, but he can. The thing is, he's tough. He's tough to put away. Kutalaba is good for a round, but this guy's hard to take down. So it's. I think this price is really the line is where it should be, and Chekwu is about -150, -160 because if Kutalaba's got about a round to get him out of there. Before Chekwu was shown he'll take over and he'll get stronger as the fight goes on. So I'll go with Nchekwu. Not betting it, but I'm gonna go with Nchekwu to win this fight.
81% takedown defense is really high. My gut told me that Ion Kutalaba was going to overwhelm Kennedy and Chekwu. But 81% takedown defense is real good. Nah, I'm still gonna go with Kutalaba because even though he's got 63% takedown accuracy, and he goes for nearly 5 takedowns a fight. Like,
Yeah, and it's almost all in the first round. Like he's just gonna chain it together, and he's coming for you.
That's real crazy. I'm gonna lean on Kutalaba to blow him out of the water, but I think you're right. If this goes on at all, I think that Nchukwu should have this.
Yeah. All right. Does that bring us to our main event of the evening?
Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivak.
Yeah, I didn't even know this fight was happening until I looked this week. I was like, oh shit, Derek Lewis is fighting again? Last time we saw Derek Lewis was questionable finish, was it? I mean, he popped right back up against Sergey Pavlovich, and he was complaining that it was an early stoppage. He definitely got socked though in that fight. Now he's coming back against Spivak. I mean, yeah, geez. I mean, what do? We break down all Derek Lewis's fights, and like you can break it down, and every better MMA analyst will tell you, like, yeah, Derek Lewis is never winning this fight. He's so one-dimensional and thing, and then he just finds fucking ways to do it, and he just crushes you because he has just second or first hardest punch in MMA combat history, just as that equalizer. Yeah. Sergey Spivak, I seen him, he's billed as a Sambo style wrestler. Who is he beating up though besides Greg Hardy? And his losses were to power punchers, Tom Aspinall and who else? I'm forgetting, but different things. Like Tom Aspinall is a really well-rounded fighter, who I think you haven't seen the best of yet. So he definitely had more, a little more offer than Derek Lewis does as far as like striking and how the fight can play out. But that was a relatively quick knockout by Aspinall. I don't know. If the fight gets extended, obviously Derek Lewis can't fight for 25 minutes against anybody. I mean, it's all about Spivak's his timeliness. Like when's he get the takedowns? Where does he get them? What kind of resistance does Lewis do? Did Lewis catch him at all? Within the first, I don't know. That's the breakdown. I don't know who to pick yet. Go ahead.
You don't know who to pick?
No, I don't have a pick yet. This is tough.
This is not tough at all. Sergey Spivak is going to smash Derek Lewis.
Smash? Stop. You're going too far.
No, he's going to smash him.
Oh, wow.
Like 100% he's going to take down Derek Lewis. And it's going to be more like when DC took down Derek Lewis than when anybody else took down Derek Lewis.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see. Who else took down Derek Lewis? Olenek took down Derek Lewis, but Lewis won. Latifi took him down, and Beefy Latifi absolutely beat Derek Lewis. I don't remember the Blagoy Imavov.
Good wrestler, really good wrestler.
Fight, right? But like, this isn't like when other people take him down on accident or out of fear. Like, this is what this guy does, and he does it to heavyweights at a world-class level.
Does he though?
Yeah. Dude, he was doing this in Combat Sambo before he got here. Sergey Spivak is real.
Yeah, maybe I don't know if he is yet or not. So that's why it's hard for me to.
The reason he didn't seem real is because he got knocked out by Walt Harris, right when he got.
Oh, that's who knocked him out. Yeah.
But okay.
I mean, he's been in the UFC now he couldn't finish.
He's only been here for 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know. He couldn't finish Olenek. Tuivasa beat him. We've seen a little evolvement out of Derek Lewis.
Tuivasa didn't beat him. He beat Tuivasa. He made Tuivasa look terrible.
Oh, okay, sorry. I
He
read
did to
that.
Tuivasa what he's about to do to Derek Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, yo, that could be a really good repeat, though. That could be a repeat of that. You're 100% right.
And I'm
Um,
pretty sure that this guy doesn't shoot. He enters in on clinches.
yeah, he's
And
not. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah, he's not. He's not a blind. Yeah,
and when Derek Lewis knocks out wrestlers, he knocks them out on the shot.
true.
Like, how well does Derek Lewis even clinch? Who has Derek Lewis ever clinched with?
Spivak. Derek Lewis's clinching game. I mean, he clinched with Nagano a few times in that that terrible fight. Other than that, no, there hasn't been. I think with Tuivasa, he had some clinch work because he fought that really good first round. I
Oh
think
yeah,
there was
there
some
was that.
clinching against Tuivasa. I don't think there's no takedowns. Was there? I thought, or was there a takedown?
Yeah, Derek took him down twice.
Derek took him down, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. This one's very cut and dry to me. Now, I would have said the same thing about Chris when I probably did say the same thing when he fought Curtis Blades. But I'm honestly more confident in this one than
Yeah,
than I was in
yeah.
Curtis.
Curtis Blades was like minus. I think he was minus 400 to finish Derek Lewis, and that made total sense. Like, why wouldn't he? Like, Derek Lewis literally has one way of winning the fight, and it has to be like a certain way. It had to be an uppercut, like because he was probably wasn't going to catch Curtis. Like, and
At
it
the
happened.
same time, if Curtis Blades was going to lose a fight to anyone, how was he going to lose it? That's how he was going to lose.
Right, he's going to get knocked
Derek
out.
Lewis was like the worst, even though his game plan is the best game plan to beat Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis was also the worst person to fight Curtis Blades. I don't think it's like that with Spivak. What
Yeah,
you got?
I got Spivak.
Derek Lewis has main evented double-digit times.
Yeah, he's he's there. He's there way too much.
Too much. You don't love you some Derek Lewis?
No, I like watching Derek Lewis. Yeah, he's just the hardest. He's one of the hardest hitting guys ever. He's like a superhero.
Oh, did you pick Spivak? I thought you did. You said you
I don't know. No, you talked me in this. I'm a Spivak believer now.
didn't know.
I'm actually looking for odds of how to who's got the best odds of Spivak to finish Lewis because Lewis isn't going 25 minutes. I mean, come on. I don't think that's happening, especially against a wrestler. He's going to get eventually. He's going to get beat up. Spivak to win inside the distance. Best price boosted on Fox Bet minus 120 right now. Yeah, I'm jumping all over that. And then I'm going to blame you. And then I'm coming. And then I'm coming for you when Derek Lewis knocks him out. Be ready.
Seems fair. You can hedge that on just anybody wins before decision.
Yeah.
But that's got to be like a minus 1,000 bet.
Yeah. Where's the fight to not go the distance? I don't know. Is there a fight to not go? Oh, that's not as terrible as I've seen it. It's high. It's minus 700 to not go the distance. So yeah, sometimes and I think we mentioned before. I don't know. There's so many fights we've seen this year. I think the three highest lines to not go the distance have went the distance. I think it was like Chandler Gaethje was one of them, and then there was I think Alex Pereira, Bruno Silva, like all those fights. They were like they ended up going the distance, but so there's always that chance. But Derek Lewis isn't. He's not a 25-minute fighter, so I don't. He just physically can't do it. Like so, I don't know how that
Do it.
he can't do it. So I don't know how that would happen. But
Has it ever happened? Has Derek Lewis? Let's see.
going 25, no, but he's going
No.
the distance.
He must have gone to sit to. Oh wait, what the hell? Why was him versus Blagoy Ivanov only 3 rounds? Yeah, I see 3 times that he's been to decision. They were all 3-round fights. 4 times. Let's see. This is another 3-round main event. Yeah, I don't know, man. All right, everybody. This has been Algorithm versus Experts.
Thank you, guys.
Please tell a friend to tell a friend. Turn your car radio up in your clearly tropical neighborhood. It's snowing where I live. We had probably 2 inches of snow yesterday, which is very small, but it's a little early for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So roll down your windows, blast this so everybody can hear. Steal all of your friends' phones, and then go into their bets and make bets for them based on our picks. And then they will see how effective it was. And they will also want to watch. Between the subscription and the free money, they should be in. Now that we are done with the obvious things you must do, you should also buy my DVD on BJJ Fanatics. Learn how to strangle some bitches. Or some Joes. Or some in-betweens. I don't know who you roll with. I personally like to strangle my children. I'm kidding. I don't put my children in strangles. Just arm bars and heel hooks. This time and every time, thank you for being here.
Thanks, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.